what is a book then? And like, what does it have to do with being in conversation with Dante? And what does it have to do also with working on the cloud while thinking about paper, perhaps knowing that the book will be published, as Punctum's books are, in paperback and in digital form?
Yeah, I would say, so the book is an object, right? And the book is also a place or a places. And that's one thing that I get from, or that I understand through Dante and through the Divine Comedy, and most specifically through the Inferno, which is the real reference point for this book. And you know, Dante takes care to not let the reader forget that they're holding a poem, whether it's in their mind, in their eyes, in their hands, in their body. You're both perceiving it and you're entering it at the same time. And I love the way, I mean, the opening of that, in whatever translations that we discover in English, and Caroline Bergvall has that wonderful poem Via, where she gets like every version of the Inferno she can get from the library, and she extracts all of the different translations of the first line, and then she alphabetizes all of them, right? And it's like you're constantly in the midst of something, in the midst of your life, in the midst of the world, in the midst of some journey. You're finding yourself on, or I'm finding myself on a path, right? And there's a kind of presence within that, but also an objectification of it, particularly in the terms that we were talking about before, with like when, if we have this relationship between I and we, and the we encompasses all of these periodic I's, then anytime you use the I, you situate yourself in a particular moment, whether it's the current one or whether you're traveling to a particular moment when a particular I situated itself, right? And so I see that within that sort of opening line of the Inferno. And at the same time that drama is happening, you have this kind of placement of the I, which the reader is sympathetic with, even as it's, again, you're invited in, but you're also objectified and objectifying, and you're situated within this forest, which I can only see now as a forest of language. And literally that's what it is, because this forest is delivered to you, and you're delivered to this forest through this poem, right? Which is this, so the language actually carries it. And then we come to realize that this forest that we're in is actually infernal. When we're at the entrance to hell, we're already in hell. And then we descend, but we were already descending. So we sort of arrive in catabasis, and we're in this general progression. And so it's kind of like, when have you entered? When have you crossed that threshold, that horizon between the supernal to the infernal? When does the dream begin? When do you wake up? All of that. And I'm really transported with that. I'm always looking for different versions of that kind of that mouth of hell, that gateway, as we're sort of approaching that. I love when Odysseus has to go, in all different tellings, like in Homer, when Odysseus has to go to basically the mouth of hell in the forest to call forth the shades and speak with Tiresias, and I love that, and because I love that kind of opening, the way that before you actually go through it, whether or not you go through it, just to kind of perceive it, the world around you changes. Suddenly this forest becomes starts to kind of darken, right? It goes gray, it becomes death. So you don't even have to kind of go through to already be there. It's like the something is coming through the portal at you just by perceiving it. And I really wanted to, I feel like that is it's metonymous for the experience of reading, the ways that anything that you read about, you're approaching it, but the approach, that perception, you're already there, you're already in it. And that's what I want to inhabit and present within my writing.
That is absolutely one of the most amazing descriptions I've ever heard of what poetry is and does.